Oh, yeah. Well, see, you have to appreciate that medical doctors are taught to relieve symptoms and pain. People are so happy. Oh, God, I had this problem for years, and doctor gave me this new medicine, and boy, in 3 minutes, my pain was gone. Can't believe it. I just love my doctor. And then 2 years later, they die because they
Yeah.
didn't get the problem fixed. They just got rid of the symptoms. And so we do both. We get rid of the symptoms and we get rid of the disease. And it'll add 25 to 50 healthy years to your life. The things that I watch is put out by the government about a month ago now. The government come out and said the average lifespan of a medical doctor, a emergency room medical doctor in America is 58.7 years. The average lifespan of a medical doctor who has a private practice in their little office is 79.3 years. Now, the longest of people on Earth um, are in Pakistan, and they live to be 122. They don't have any medical doctors, but they live in the land flowing with milk and honey in the Himalayan mountains. It goes back to 2,000 years ago in the old Bible, and people lived to be, it's in the old Bible, the land flowing with milk and honey. It wasn't cow's milk or sheep's milk. Okay, it was glacial milk. The glaciers grinding up the rocks, white powder gets in the streams, turns the streams white like milk. And then, of course, all those minerals get into the valley, more flowers, more flowers, more bees, more bees, more honey. So that's where the land flowing with milk and honey came from in the Old Testament 2,000 years ago. Isn't that a miracle?
It is.
Yeah, so they were seeing things that were unimpeachable. They were things that bad guys couldn't say anything bad about it because it was there. And at that time, 2,000 years ago, there was probably a dozen places on Earth that they had registered where people lived to be 150, 200, 300 years of age. And some of those old people, the oldest ones in the Bible, they lived to be 900 years and stuff like that. And so that has to do with what they were avoiding and what they were consuming. And and so that's just kind of interesting. And of course, on page 7 of the flip chart, it talks about diseases of exotic animals, okay? And it's the medical and surgical management, okay? And I was on George Norrie last night for 2 hours, from 10 to 11, 11 to 12. And normally he'll ask me 2 or 3 questions and then go on to something else. But for some reason, last night he gave me all 2 hours and we were answering questions from people all over the world. And so it's like crazy. And we're getting people that call up saying, I want 4 cases of that book. I want the book Epigenetics, Rare Earths and Cures and Dead Doctors Don't Lie. I want 3 sets of those. And all the stuff that people had been hearing about for years and years and years and years, didn't pay much attention to it. But when I had 2 hours on George Norrie, suddenly now the information was getting out there to where they said, if George is putting him on that long, he must be wanting the information.
Doc, Doc, don't you think that Robert Kennedy Jr.'s got something to do with this? Because he's got health in the forefront as far as the bad dyes that are poison that have been outlawed in other countries, and we're still having them in our food here. He's on the warpath to get all this stuff. We need to be as healthy as they are over in Europe, and I think he's making a big to do about it. And I think it's causing a upsurge in people wanting to learn more about good health.
Well, everybody
And I
should
think
send,
he's done a lot.
Kennedy Jr. need to send him information so that he understands that we're here to kind of back him up and to,
Yes, I would love to partner up with him, definitely.
we'll send him
Because
some
I know
information.
he's very altruistic and he has his heart in the right place. He really believes in it. I know he does.
Okay, well, send him a flip chart. Send him Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Send him epigenetics. Get all this
Ex-
stuff to him, and let's go to work.
exactly. Exactly. And the thing of it is, too, Donald Trump knows a little bit about longevity because of being with Mary Lou Henner. So I know he knows about us. He's probably so busy with other stuff, he's probably forgot, but who knows? We'll find out in the future. We'll find out.
Yeah, at the right moment. Just like how many years have we been doing George Norrie, and I'd get maybe 10 minutes and 2 hours. I got 2 hours and 2 hours last night.
Yeah.
It's the first
Yep.
time I had that much time with him.
That's great.
It is. It truly is, because I think there's a new resurgence in people and their health. They're talking about, it's coming out to the forefront about chemtrails. People used to think chemtrails were, like me, a conspiracy person. It's not conspiracy, it's real. Chemtrails eat the paint off of cars, and they know it. And if it can eat the paint off your car, what can it do to your body when you breathe it? I mean, it's not good for us, and they got to stop doing it. And that was part of the U.S. aid, was paying for chemtrails, but somehow they've got money from someplace else because they're running out of podunk airports now, and they're still doing it. Even though they got cut off from U.S. aid, they're still finding money to do it. Because I can look out here in Michigan, and they're still chemtrailing Michigan. I know that. And now there's a place you can send in reports about it, so that everybody is getting on the bandwagon and reporting it to a central place about what is going on with chemtrails, where they're at, everything. I mean, they're not going to keep getting away with this stuff anymore, because it's all coming out. And we're not as crazy as they made us out to be. It's all real. And poison dye they're putting in food. And you know what they said? We're like the sickest people, and the kids in school are the dumbest. We are, I think, 40th from our, people in, in math and reading. We're way down below the national world average. Of industrial countries, we're at 40th. That's not acceptable. That's how they take a country over, by dumbing down the people. You know that.
Yep.
The dumber they can make us, the easier it is for them to take us over. So we gotta learn to be healthy, and the only way you can learn to be healthy is learn to be healthy. Healthy and learn. You can't learn if you're malnourished. You can't learn anything. And so it all goes hand in hand, health and intelligence and all this stuff. And I think Robert Kennedy, I think he's making a big impact. And I think that's why more people are probably listening to you, because it all goes hand in hand together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going to be like remember when the Dead Doctors tape got so popular and everybody was using it to promote their businesses? And I see this is happening all over again, just like it did back in the day.
Yeah, rediscovered.
Yep. So I think everybody's getting on the health bandwagon now, and it's good that they are, because we were becoming a very sick nation. I know my husband's younger sister's grandson, she said he didn't eat good. I didn't even know him that well, but he got leukemia at a very young age, and I told her not to give him chemotherapy because it would kill him. And oh no, they got new chemotherapy that works. It reminds me of what they told you about your wife. And so he got the chemotherapy, and of course it killed him. He was 31 years old when he died from the chemotherapy and from leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nothing has changed. I mean, we need to start learning to avoid getting things in the first place. It's much easier to not get it by taking supplements to not get sick. Once you get sick, you got your foot in a big hole and you're trying to get out of it. And you don't want to end up like that. So preventative maintenance. It's like women don't need to go get mammograms. All you need to do is make sure you take your minerals, your EFAs, and selenium every day. And you won't even want to get a mammogram, because you know you're not going to get breast cancer anyway if you take care of yourself. And that's what we need to start doing, is taking care of ourselves and have the knowledge to know that what we're doing is correct and we don't have to worry about things in the future. I mean, unless you live in a toxic waste dump or something,
Well,
as long as you're not
one
doing.
of the simplest ones to look at that even the average person on the street can understand is something like arthritis. Arthritis in America alone, we spend $646 billion a year just to relieve the pain, not to prevent it or cure it, but just to relieve the pain, $646 billion a year. Now, what about osteoporosis, where you're losing all these minerals in your bones and this, and you're getting fractures and stuff, and squeezing all your bone marrow and everything, getting anemic. And what's the deal there for that one? Oh, when you have osteoporosis, just for the United States and England together each year, we spend $6.7 trillion just to treat the symptoms of osteoporosis, not to prevent it or cure it, but just to treat the symptoms. 6.7 trillion. Now you add that to the $465 billion together, it's $7 trillion a year we're spending just to treat the symptoms of osteoporosis and arthritis. It's crazy when you think about it. Okay. And so, okay. All right. I was looking to see if our dear friend was still on there, but he figures we're okay, so he took off. Okay. There we go.
Dr. Wallach, I
Yes.
ran across an article this last week that's one of the things you like to talk about. So everybody knows somebody that likes to run. I don't understand why, but these long distance runners, it turns out, lose the myelin off their brain, and it takes them months to recover. And so everybody that's out running needs to get on our products. What would you tell them?
I-26. Get on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack.
Yeah.
Healthy Heart Pack. One Healthy Brain and Heart Pack per month for 100 pounds of body weight. So if you weigh 130, 150 pounds or more, you want 2 Healthy Brain and Heart Packs a month, a full dose of breakfast, full dose of dinner time. Get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, butter, iron, oats, no buckwheat, no sugar, no carbonated drinks, no peanuts, because that's why all the beer drinkers get liver cancer. It's not because of the alcohol in the beer, it's because of the fungus on the peanuts that they get when they're eating the peanuts with the beer. Okay. And so it's one of those things where this information is unimpeachable. The information has been there forever, but nobody knew how to interpret it or how to reverse some of these very simple things. Okay. The Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., Smithsonian Institute. My book, let's see here, Diseases of Exotic Animals, represent over 40,000 autopsies. You can buy one brand new, still in the wrapper, for $10,000. So not many people are going to buy it for $10,000. So if you want to read my book, The Diseases of Exotic Animals, you go to the libraries, veterinary school libraries, medical school libraries, pharmaceutical libraries, and they have my books in there, including The Diseases of Exotic Animals. Now, it's one of those things where the 3 books, Epigenetics, the book Rare Earths Been Cures, and the book Dead Doctors Don't Lie, those 3 books together kind of cover all the things that the book Disease of Exotic Animals cover. So these 3 books is one of those things that, okay, we're doing a Zoom, go away. We're doing a Zoom, go away.
Sorry.
Guys, people wanted to come in and clean the room.
Oh dear.
Oh, now's a bad time.
And bad timing. Okay, so anyway, the book Rare Earths Been Cures, okay, that book and the book Epigenetics, and I'm one of the 5 founding fathers of the science of epigenetics, okay, And let's see here. On page 7 of the flip chart, it talks about the Smithsonian Institute, okay, which covers the books, especially the 3 books, Epigenetics, Rare Has Been Cures, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, and then, of course, the big book, all right, um, Disease of Exotic Animals. All right, so Rare Earths Been Cures, distinctive home references, okay, definitive home references on minerals, mineral deficiencies, and the relationship to degenerative diseases, learning disabilities, criminal behaviors, hyperactivity, birth defects, addictions, food binges, depression, infertility. And for, if you buy 10 or more of these, you pay $12 for them. Oops. Sorry about that. These people call at all times. Okay. And then on page 26 of the book, of the flip chart, there's about 20 of the diseases of the brain and spinal cord, the white matter of the brain and spinal cord. The white matter of the brain is 85% of the brain, 95% of your spinal cord, and Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, all these things are supposed to be genetic because half the people in your family have them. No, but it's because they're all eating grandma's recipes. They're all eating the same recipes. That's why they all have the same problems. Okay. And so Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, we get rid of Parkinson's disease in weeks. You've had them for 9, 10, 15 years. Okay. On page 27, the next page, and of course, the page I just talked to you about, 26 of the flip chart, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Huntington's, chorea, frontotemporal dementia, Charcot-Marie tooth, Bell's palsy, cervical spondylosis, carpal tunnel syndrome, brain spinal cord tumors, pressure palsy, myelopathies, optic neuropathies, hereditary neuropathy. All this stuff is just nutritional deficiencies. And doctors milk the system, and you have to go in like every 30 days or every 90 days and get, a refill on your medicine to keep the symptoms down. But you're getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and you're going to die. Okay. Well, Madeline O, that's the first initial of her last name. Okay. Madeline O, and her, which I say, she had Parkinson's disease for like 9.5, 10 years, and she's getting all these positive tests. It's just terrible. And the doctors were telling her family that she could die tonight. This isn't looking good. So they called me, is anything we can do? So I came up with the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, okay, for her. And in 3 months' time, she went in for an annual physical, and all her tests were normal. They said, this can't be right. There's got to be somebody else's stuff. Come back in tomorrow. We'll rerun all the tests. She came back in the next day. All the tests were normal again. All the doctors have died, but she's still around.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That's page 27 of the flip chart. Madeline O. Case report, Parkinson's disease, etiology or cause identified and reversal accomplished. Okay. And it has highlighted messages from medical doctors saying that they can't believe what they saw and so forth. And they've tested her and tested her and tested her, and she's definitely doesn't have it anymore. And they tested her for 9 years. She had it. They test her like every month because that ran up the bill. That's how they sent their kids to college. Okay.
So they even think it's magic.
They didn't have the magic. No, they didn't have the magic. We had the magic. And that was the I-26. That's I like the chewables. I like the French vanilla, but our biggest sellers are the
Canister powder.
it's well, it's the What? Yeah,
The powder that you put in drinks,
yeah,
that's the most popular.
yeah.
Okay. It's versatile.
Yep. Yeah, you can put it, stir it in a drink, stir it in your dessert and all that kind of stuff.
Well, Dr. Wallach, we have people with a few questions. Are you ready to take them yet, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Whenever you gals are ready, we got about 20
Yep.
minutes left. So,
Sue's got to unmute herself. She's got her hand up.
No, that's actually that's
It looks like Sue.
Yeah, it's Sue.
oh, okay, because the Motorola Edge persons had their hand up too. Sue's somehow not on my screen. So, all right.
So, Dr. Wallach, I've been working with this mom with children who the kids haven't been healthy, but she started taking products and working
Oh,
the diet with the kids and everything.
she
And
died.
now she's asking, she wants a greater understanding why pork and burnt animal fat, for different reasons, but why the pork and fat in your diet isn't necessarily a good thing. She
Well,
wants to know what
yeah,
the limit is on
well,
how much.
when you heat fat, it turns into bad stuff. Okay? It turns into poison. And so when you're eating fried foods, whether it's chicken or bacon or whatever it might be, and you're frying foods, you're turning the fats into poisons, and that's the bad stuff.
Okay. And then, of course, the bacon question is always a strong
That's why
question.
the Chinese live longer than we do, because they live on rice and fish.
I don't do bacon. Is the processing of the bacon any part of why bacon is not that good for you, or is it just the fat changing?
No, it's processing. It's the chemicals they put in bacon.
They all have a part. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
You bet.
okay. I have a question if nobody else has their hand raised. I had someone email me that this is a menopausal woman and she's been taking the Rise and Restore since February and added the Cal Mag. She's planning on adding the EFAs and the microbiome, but she's on a low dose of hormone replacement therapy, and she wants to know what she can take to get off of the hormone replacement therapy. What should she be adding? She has body achiness, brain fog, and hot flashes.
Okay. Well,
Women's
um,
Xerafilm.
yeah,
Right, Doc?
yeah, Xerafilm.
Xerafilm?
Yeah, yeah, Xerafilm. It's a girly thing.
Right. I will let her know. I thought that's what you would say, but I didn't know if you had something else or that was it. So we'll pass
That's
that
the main,
along.
I think
Yeah.
that's the main thing we have for women's issues, isn't it?
Yeah, Xerafilm, but also throw in the I-26.
Okay.
Give the brain and spinal cord everything it needs, and says it'll make her girly stuff more powerful.
Well, and we need cholesterol to make our hormones. So
That's right.
Everybody,
Cholesterol,
yeah, everybody
cholesterol
needs
makes a mile on the white matter of the brain, white matter of the spinal cord, makes your hormones. You do not want to give up cholesterol.
right.
Cholesterol is only bad when you fry it. Okay. But eating eggs, soft scrambled eggs, okay.
but
Soft scrambled eggs is good. Fried eggs are bad.
soft scrambled in butter
Yep, soft scrambled in butter. There you go.
at low temperatures.
Yep. Yeah, cholesterol makes up 95% of your sex hormone, whether you're a boy or a girl. And so cholesterol covers your sex life, covers your brain activity, and of course your heart. We have de-stress, kind of a funky name, but it has all of the nutrients that your heart needs, especially if you have congestive heart failure and that kind of stuff. it'll go away in 2 weeks. I don't care if you've had it for 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, been on medication for congestive heart failure and dialysis and all this kind of stuff. In just a few weeks, okay, on our program, with the de-stress thrown in, all that goes away.
Great, great. Well, the Rocky Mineral Group has a question. I don't know if that's Judy or somebody else.
Yeah, it's Judy. She's got a, yeah, she
Hi, guys.
unmuted.
Okay, my question is, if someone has a virus in their system and they want to get rid of it, we've talked about doing the colloidal, not
Colloidal silver.
colloidal silver. Yes, thank you,
Yep.
Dr. Wallach.
Colloidal silver kills all viruses, bacteria, fungus, and yeast. Penicillin only kills 2 bacteria.
Okay, and
Which-
putting it
which
in the
one do you
mouth,
want?
talked about that, but if the
Squirt it.
problem is,
Squirt a dropper full under the right side of your tongue. Squirt a
Yes.
dropper full under the left side of your tongue. Say 10 minutes before breakfast, 10 minutes for lunch, 10 minutes for dinner time, 10 minutes for bedtime. And it's been used for over 400 years to get rid of the plague. I mean, plague used to wipe out entire communities that had maybe 1,000 people in it. In 2 weeks' time, they're all dead. Well, this one sheep farmer discovered that colloidal silver killed the plague. And so they started using the colloidal silver 400 years ago. And guess what? It still works today.
yes. So okay, because if you swallow it, it takes a long time to get to your intestines.
No,
Could you
no,
put it-
no, you don't want to swallow it. You put it under your tongue. You'll absorb it
Oh,
before
you
you
put it
get
on your
the-
tongue, right,
Yeah, before you get the dropper out of your mouth, it's absorbed.
right. So could you put it on your belly button and then let it absorb that way? Because
Yeah,
a lot of essential oil people are saying if you put it on your belly button, it gets into your lower areas better and faster. So I was wondering, would that apply?
do
for
both. I do
silver?
both. I wouldn't give up putting it under your tongue because it's like
Could
intravenous.
you do both?
Do both.
Do both. Try the belly button, try.
Yeah, do belly button if
Okay.
but don't do it in place of putting it under the tongue. You go, what they've been using for 400 years successfully, why would you change it?
Okay, just was curious. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Shar, I have another emailed question for Doc.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a man who they say he was taking the Ultimate Daily Classic, and I sent him a picture to make sure that it was the one in the green bottle that's in the Pro line.
Mhm.
But he said it's not working like it used to. Did they take something out? So I'm trying to get clarification on that. But he said he had swelling in the feet and the lower legs, and that got rid of that. And he had a tumor that disappeared and some other, she called them knobs on his body. And the doctor's saying, he's amazed at how well he's doing, and that they heard you say cow toddy is good for bone marrow. And she's wanting to know, is there anything else that's good for bone marrow? And he has foamy urine. And I asked if he were taking any kind of prescription drugs, and she didn't answer that. So, but his urine has been bubbly starting in November.
Well, that means there's protein in it.
Okay. So he's losing protein probably.
Yeah. Okay. And so it's one of those things where people have to stay with the basic program.
Mm-hmm.
Silver doesn't have any alcohol in it. You can put it in your eyes. You can put it in an open wound. It won't burn because there's no alcohol. But it's been used for over 400 years. It's not toxic in any way, shape, or form. But it's been used for 400 years to eliminate the plague. That's pretty good.
Very good. So he needs colloidal silver.
Yeah, I get 4 dropper fulls at a time. I keep one in my bedroom so I can take the first thing in the morning when I wake up and first thing when I go to bed. But I also have one at the kitchen, and I also have one at the dining room table. So I've got 4 or 5 of those dropper fulls of the colloidal silver in the house. And when I go out to eat, in a restaurant, I take my bottle of
Mm-hmm.
colloidal silver with me along with all my bottle of all my supplements.
Well, apparently he had a high white cell count, 500,000. I'm not really sure because
Okay, well, here's what's
when it
happening.
goes through people,
Here's
things
what's
get
happening.
transcribed. Yeah.
Here's what's happening. He's got some chronic thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It could be just has maybe bone marrow dying, would raise up the number of white blood cells and that kind of stuff. Okay. And so he needs to find out really what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't throw nutrients at certain things. You have to find out why. You want to get rid of the why as well
Mm-hmm.
as dealing with what's happening.
Okay. So before you can say, what he needs, they need to diagnose it better and find out why his white count's so high and why his bone marrow's having
Exactly.
problems. Okay.
There's something not nice happening to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it a chronic infection? Is it something where he's nutritionally deficient and tissues are dying? Um, if the bone marrow is dying because it's not getting enough nutrition, that'll cause a lot of trouble.
Right. Right. All right. Well, I will answer her and see if we can get more information and come back with you maybe next week
Okay.
and we can help him a little better. I don't see any other hands up, but I just wanted to comment, Dr. Wallach. I think you were telling us before we began about the new place that you have to do your Zooms, and surely everybody noticed those wonderful framed posters of your books behind you. And I just wanted to thank Michelle for helping arrange you to have a place that looks so nice and some help when you need it. And we're glad that it looks like it's working out for you. So
No, it's one of those things we're probably going to wind up having these things in every city that we have a lot of longevity people.
great. That'd be wonderful. Well, Char Sue has her hand up
Yeah,
again.
go ahead, Sue.
Okay, well, it's a simple question, I think, but a friend of mine was talking about how fasting is supposed to help with mental clarity and give you more brain power. And I was wondering what doctor's opinion was on that statement, along with what specific groups of longevity products would be for the brain. Not necessarily all together, but can you mix and match?
Okay, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack and also the I-26. Okay, also the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets for circulation into the brain. And then get rid of all the bad foods. Do those 4 things and you'll have a miracle.
Okay. And then does fasting do anything for brain function?
Well, if you have diabetes, your blood sugar is high and you're fasting, it'll lower your blood sugar.
But you have to have a pre-existing condition for
Yeah.
fasting to help, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, and I know some people that fast and like for days, and they don't have any energy and they can't think. So it can affect you that way too.
Yeah, because when you're fasting, you're not getting the nutrients for all the pieces to work.
Right. I couldn't go that long without food.
I just had to put a Dr. Wallach says stamp on this one.
Right.
And you have to appreciate that, thousands of years ago, even before the old Bible, fasting was a way that people could clear their mind and think clearly and all this kind of stuff because they're eating fried foods and eating burnt foods and eating fat and all this kind of stuff. And so they would fast, they'd give up all that bad stuff for a week and then they'd function a little better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, especially this time of year, a lot of people fast for religious reasons. So we don't want.
But see, that started thousands of years ago.
Right.
when fasting was very useful.
Right.
Because if you're eating bad foods 3 times a day, staying away from the bad foods for a week is a good thing.
Well, stay away from the bad foods all the time, and that's a good thing.
There you
Just
go.
substitute the good ones in. So last week we had said we were going to start having just a 45-minute Zoom. So I think we're still doing that. Is that correct?
Fine with me. I don't